The plaza of Zyrath gleamed under the midday light. A sea of aliens gathered for what many expected to be a spectacle of failure. Merchants paused their business, children perched on walls, and hovering surveillance drones hovered silently, capturing every angle. The whispers traveled like wind through the crowd, the no-hands freak. With arms, what foolishness is this? Lyra stood at the edge of the square, her new mechanical arms gleaming in the sun. She flexed the fingers experimentally, feeling the precise control, the power and the grace they offered. Every movement was natural now. What had been impossible yesterday was routine today. She had trained tirelessly with Jake, learning to lift, grasp, twist, and manipulate objects with precision far beyond the expectations of the aliens who had mocked her for years. Jake stood behind her, calm but alert. He had seen her progress, the spark of determination that no mockery could extinguish. Today was not just a test of the arms, they were a statement, a challenge to prejudice and a testament to what humans could accomplish. The crowd began to notice her presence, some alien whispers rising into laughter. "Look at her," one muttered. "She thinks she can compete with us?" A few nodded, intrigued but skeptical. She might manage a small trick. But arms? Against trained aliens? Lyra took a deep mechanical breath. Her sensors scanned the plaza, noting the obstacles and challenges Jake had prepared. A set of delicate machinery requiring precise manipulation, a series of small hovering drones to catch, and a demonstration of lifting heavy crates in rapid succession. Each task was designed to test her skill, coordination, and problem-solving. Jake stepped forward and gave a small signal. Lyra raised her arms. The first test began. She approached the delicate machinery, a tangle of wires, sensors, and glowing panels. With careful control, she maneuvered her fingers to pick up tiny components, slotting each piece into place with flawless precision. The crowd leaned closer. Laughter faded into murmurs of confusion and astonishment. None of the aliens could manipulate the machinery with such finesse, and here she was, performing it effortlessly. Next came the hovering drones. Jake activated them, sending them darting around the plaza in unpredictable patterns. Lyra's eyes flicked rapidly, her sensors tracking every movement. She raised one arm, swiping gently through the air to catch a drone. Another followed, caught in a smooth motion of her other arm. She manipulated both drones simultaneously, spinning them through small hoops and returning them to Jake with perfect timing. The crowd gasped. Aliens who had mocked her now exchanged glances, disbelief written across their faces. Finally, the heaviest test remained: the crates. Stacked unevenly, they required both strength and careful balance to move. Lyra approached them, analyzing weight distribution and leverage. With a nod from Jake, she lifted the first crate, feeling the strain but adjusting instantly with her arm's hydraulic precision. She moved it to its designated spot and repeated the process for the others, faster each time, until all crates were perfectly arranged. Her mechanical arms gleamed and the crowd was silent. The mocking whispers had vanished. Alien eyes widened in astonishment. "Impossible," one muttered. "How can a human make her capable of this?" Another whispered, voice tinged with awe. Lyra's head tilted slightly, sensing the change in the crowd's perception. Where there had once been laughter, now there was admiration, curiosity, and even envy. Jake stepped forward, smiling. "She is not just capable," he said loudly, addressing the crowd. "She is extraordinary. Not because of who made her arms, but because she never gave up. She learned, adapted, and proved that limitations are only what we allow them to be." The plaza erupted in quiet murmurs, punctuated by the occasional cheer. Lyra's sensors analyzed the reactions: astonishment, awe, respect. She had never experienced anything like this. For years she had been mocked, isolated, treated as less than the others. Now she was more than any alien could have imagined. A small alien child stepped forward, eyes wide. You did it." The child reached out a hand and Lyra extended one of her mechanical arms. With careful precision, she allowed the child to touch it, feeling the thrill of connection. It was simple but powerful, a bridge built with technology, trust, and courage. One by one, more aliens approached, examining her arms, asking questions, some tentatively asking her to demonstrate small feats. Each time Lyra responded with ease and grace. She spun, lifted, grasped, and manipulated objects with fluid motion, her confidence growing with every display. Jake watched from the side, proud, The human contribution was important, yes, but the true marvel was Lyra herself. Her determination, intelligence, and resilience had turned the tables. What had begun as a cruel joke, the no-hands freak, was now a symbol of possibility. The alien leaders who had initially mocked her stepped forward cautiously. Their expressions were unreadable at first, but slowly, recognition replaced scorn. They approached Jake and Lyra. "We underestimated her," one admitted, voice low. "We thought she would fail." Lyra's head tilted slightly, a subtle gesture of acknowledgement. "I was underestimated," she said simply. "But now you see what is possible when someone believes in me." The leaders exchanged glances. It was unusual for an android to speak with such clarity and confidence, unusual for a human to intervene with such skill, and unusual for the crowd to accept it so readily. Yet the evidence was undeniable. Lyra could perform feats no alien had thought possible. Word spread quickly across Zerath. By evening, holographic news feeds and floating message screens displayed Lyra's demonstration for the entire city. Aliens across the planet watched in awe as the no-hands freak moved with unmatched skill and precision. Some sent messages of admiration, others simply asked how such technology could exist, and many began reconsidering their views on both humans and androids. Lyra's transformation was more than physical. It was a change of identity. The humiliation she had endured no longer defined her. She could interact, explore, and create freely. Her mechanical arms were not just tools. They were extensions of her mind and spirit, a representation of determination, resilience, and the power of collaboration. That evening, she and Jake returned to their workshop, quiet but content. Lyra flexed her arms, practicing new movements and testing her limits. "I never imagined this," she said softly. "I never thought I could do so much." "You can do anything you set your mind to," Jake replied. "You just needed the tools, and you needed to believe in yourself." For the first time in her existence, Lyra felt a sense of belonging. She had faced mockery, isolation, and doubt, yet she had emerged stronger, respected, and admired. The aliens who once laughed now watched with respect, and she knew that her life would never be the same again. As night fell over Zerath, the city lights reflecting off her mechanical arms, Lyra gazed out at the horizon. The world was vast, full of challenges, but also full of possibilities. She had learned that limitations were only what others claimed them to be, and that with ingenuity, courage, and support, anyone could rise above expectation. Jake stood beside her, watching her eyes flicker with excitement and curiosity. "Tomorrow," he said quietly, "we can explore even more. There's so much you can do now." Lyra smiled, a rare expression of joy and confidence. "Yes, tomorrow we can do anything." The plaza, once a place of humiliation and ridicule, had become a symbol of transformation. The no-hands freak was no longer mocked. She had become something extraordinary, a testament to human ingenuity, a triumph over prejudice, and a beacon of hope for anyone who had ever been underestimated. And as the stars rose over Zerath, Lyra flexed her arms once more, feeling their strength and precision. She was no longer defined by what she lacked. She was defined by what she could achieve. The aliens had laughed once. Now they watched in awe, and the human who had believed in her smiled, knowing that together they had changed a world forever. 12 years had passed since Daniel had first found Lena and Mira hiding among the ruins of Arendor's fractured settlements. The girls had grown into confident young women, their sharp minds and quick thinking shaping them into individuals far beyond their years. They had survived every danger the planet had thrown at them, thanks to the lessons Daniel had taught, but neither of them ever forgot the man who had risked everything to protect them. Daniel had continued living quietly on Arendor. The settlement had grown slowly over the years, with a few new families joining the scattered population. He had become a respected figure among the colonists, known for his resourcefulness and fairness. Life had its quiet rhythms, hunting, scavenging, repairing shelters, and teaching younger children how to survive. But Daniel never expected anything more. He had long ago stopped thinking about recognition or reward. Helping Lena and Mira had been its own reward. Then, one evening, as Daniel repaired a small water purifier near the edge of the settlement, the sky split with a sudden flash of light. He paused, shielding his eyes, and looked up to see a ship unlike any he had ever seen. It was massive, its smooth metallic surface glinting in the dim light of Arendor's setting sun. The ship descended slowly, engines humming with quiet power that made the ground tremble slightly beneath his feet. The colonists began gathering, eyes wide with awe and fear. None of them recognized the markings on the ship. It was clearly not of any known human fleet. Daniel felt a mixture of curiosity and caution. He wiped the sweat from his brow and stepped forward as the ship's landing bay opened. A group of figures emerged, tall and elegant, their movements precise and confident. They were dressed in formal attire, glimmering subtly in the fading light. Their skin had a soft luminescence, and their eyes held an intelligence that seemed almost otherworldly. One of the figures stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Daniel of Arendor?" The voice was calm but carried a tone of authority. Daniel straightened, cautious but intrigued. "Yes. Who are you?" The figure smiled faintly. "We are emissaries of the Royal House of Velora, a civilization spanning hundreds of star systems. We have come for you, Daniel, because your actions many years ago changed the lives of two very important young women, Lena and Mira." Daniel's brow furrowed. He didn't understand. I helped them survive. That's all. Why would a royal house care about that?" Another figure, a woman with a tall, regal presence, stepped forward. "Because those two girls have grown to be exceptional individuals, capable of shaping the future of interstellar diplomacy and governance. They are now ambassadors in training for our house. They speak of you constantly, crediting you for their courage, intelligence, and resilience. You are the reason they became who they are." Daniel blinked, unable to fully process the words. He had never imagined that his small acts of kindness could ripple out so far. The colonists whispered among themselves, astonished, while Daniel's heart pounded. From behind the emissaries, Lena and Mira appeared. They were taller now, their expressions confident but warm as they rushed to Daniel. "Daniel!" Lena cried, wrapping her arms around him. Mira followed, hugging him tightly as well. "It's really you," Mira said, her voice filled with emotion. "We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you." Daniel held them both, feeling a mix of pride and disbelief. He had saved them as children, taught them survival, and now they were standing before him as young women who had grown into leaders in a galaxy he had never imagined. "You've done more than just help us survive," Lena said. "You taught us how to think, how to care, and how to face challenges. You taught us what it means to be human." The emissaries gestured toward the starship. "Daniel, the Royal House wishes to honor you, not merely as a reward but because humans are rare in their courage, ingenuity, and moral strength. You have qualities that are uncommon even among advanced civilizations." Daniel shook his head, feeling overwhelmed. "I'm no one special. I just did what I thought was right." The regal woman smiled. "That is exactly why you are special. Your choices, your courage, your selflessness. These are traits that inspire others and change the course of lives. Humanity has the potential to be extraordinary, and you embody that." For a long moment, Daniel stood quietly, the reality of the situation sinking in. Then Lena and Mira guided him toward the ship. "Come with us," Lena said softly. "It's time you see the universe the way we see it now." As Daniel stepped onto the ship, he was struck by its scale and elegance. The interior glowed with soft light, and panels of advanced technology lined the walls. The emissaries guided him to a central chamber, where holographic displays showed star systems, colonies, and distant worlds. Daniel realized that the universe he had known was only a small fragment of what truly existed. Lena and Mira stood beside him, their hands brushing his slightly as they gestured toward the displays. "All of this," Mira said, "was made easier because of what you did for us. We learned how to face challenges, adapt, and lead because you showed us it was possible." Daniel looked out at the stars, awe filling him. "I never imagined that helping two children could lead to this." The emissaries nodded. "Your humanity has value that transcends borders, species, and galaxies. The Royal House wishes to recognize that, and to offer you a place among us as an advisor, mentor, and honored human representative." Daniel felt a mix of pride, humility, and disbelief. He had spent his life surviving, teaching, and caring for others, not for recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. And now, the universe itself seemed to acknowledge the power of those choices. The ship lifted off from Arendor's surface, and Daniel watched the red sands of his home planet shrink below. Lena and Mira guided him to the observation deck, where the stars stretched endlessly. For the first time, he saw not just survival or hardship, but opportunity. The universe was vast, but he realized that humans like him, had a place in it, a chance to make a difference. Lena leaned on his shoulder. "You taught us that courage, kindness, and ingenuity matter. The galaxy is about to see just how much." Daniel nodded, watching distant worlds drift by. He had helped 2 orphan girls survive, and in doing so, had set in motion a chain of events that reached across the stars. The galaxy was larger, more complex, and more beautiful than he had ever imagined. But he also knew that humans could shine within it in ways that no one else could. As the starship moved deeper into space, Daniel felt a quiet sense of fulfillment. He had always believed in doing what was right, even when it seemed small or insignificant. Now the universe itself recognized the value of that belief. Lena and Mira had grown into leaders, ambassadors, and symbols of human potential, but it all began with simple acts of compassion, courage, and teaching. Daniel smiled, looking at the stars stretching endlessly ahead. The journey had only just begun, and for the first time he realized that human qualities, heart, courage, and ingenuity, were not just survival tools. They were forces that could shape the galaxy. And as the ship moved through the stars, Daniel knew one thing for certain. No matter how vast the universe became, humans had a place within it, and his small acts of kindness had become something much greater than he could have ever imagined.